Hi there.
Sorry, that was me again.
No problem. Uh,
Okay.
I
Yeah, I understand you have to be somewhere at noon.
so if, I got a good 35 minutes we can talk. Sound cool?
We were just playing on websites that are useful for educational purposes in the classroom.
Oh, great. Well, we can talk about some of
So we
those.
just, yeah, we got distracted. So my class you won't be able to see because the way the computer's set up is working. I'm kind of limited. I feel like I'm on a very short leash here. But we can see Herbert, and if we have questions, you'll come over here and ask.
Awesome.
Okay, and I'll try to relay questions as they come up.
Great. Well, you guys are talking about technology, and if you really think about this, if you go back to the beginning of education, something like the quill and ink. Now, a pencil or pen is so much superior to that in a lot of ways. And I think one thing that we kind of get caught up on is like, well, all this new technology and all these various things that go on, it's really hard to kind of follow, what am I supposed to do with this technology? What am I supposed to actually be able to do in a class? And it's hard to keep up. And I know you guys are talking about the Facebooks and the Twitters and all those other new technology that are coming out. What can we do with this, that, and the other? And basically, I like to kind of just kind of open the floor because we have like 30 minutes together and kind of just kind of ask you if you have some questions that I can specifically respond to. We can talk about some things like Audacity, how you use some of these programs in your classroom, computer-assisted instruction, and I kind of also want to know the feedback of what some ideas that you think that you might actually use technology in the classroom as well. And one question that kind of throw out at you is basically, what is a computer? And today the computer is everything from a cell phone to MP3 player to your car. All those things have computers in them now, and we really can't kind of take it for granted. And I remember back in 1988, my physics teacher said one day something the size of your hand, I mean something that fit in your hand, will have access to all the information in the world. And today with this little iPod Touch, I literally can go in there on Google or Wikipedia, and I have access to all the wealth of information across the world over humanity, and this is $200 now. At that point, in 1988, people had computers, but even at that point there, no one really could understand what we're actually going to be able to do with a computer. I mean, if we think about today, I always make a joke, all I need is three things. There's a laptop, a microwave, and a bed. That's all I need. Because with a computer, I can communicate, I can be entertained, I can create, and I can learn things. And those are things that are really important to me. I think pretty much every educator is the same way. Those are things that are important to them as well. And of course, your students. Well, one little personal story I had was I teach really big classes. I have a history of rock class, which I have like 130 folks in it, and a jazz class, about 100 and something folks in it. And you probably even in elementary school and high school have problems with students wanting text messages and so forth like that. So I decided, you know what, let me use my iPod Touch, and you can text message my iPod if you have a question. And you know what happened? Nobody text messaged me, and they put up their cell phones. I was shocked. And what I realized was that they used technology was to see who's going to Taco Bell at what time. They don't want to use that for educational purposes. So it may be different in another class in a lot of ways, but that was really surprising to me. I thought I'd get like so many text messages I couldn't even look at, but basically everybody started looking at me. And I think what they realized was they were text messaging. I would assume that they were mailing me instead of their buddies or whatnot. So like any other technology you have, I remember when I was in school, the Walkmans had gotten popular, and they had rules against you can't have that, and I'm sure the rules for cell phones are probably they're probably there. You can't have them during the class, or you can't have them out and so forth like that. I'm sure the kids sneak them, just like they have been through the beginning of time, how to do things and whatnot on that. But the big things like this, we really have three choices when we have technology. We can accept it, we can kind of restrict it, or we can ignore it in a lot of ways. And can we find avenues for Facebook? Can we find avenues for the Twitters? Can we find avenues for the YouTube? And a personal story for me is that I play piano, and I wanted to learn how to play boogie woogie piano. nobody where I'm at knew how to play boogie woogie piano. So you know what I did? I went to YouTube and watched, and now I even put videos on YouTube how to play boogie woogie now. So it's that circular thing that's going on. And I'm sure one of the big websites you guys talked about, hopefully, was like like YouTube. I know there's a lot of stuff up there where folks, falling down and doing joke stuff, but there's a lot of educational content out there, and it's really amazing all the how-to videos on various things from music. I play guitar, so there's so many little blues lessons and whole songs are on there, and folks are learning that. And what really shows to me is that even if you're not an official teacher, I think we're all teachers in a lot of ways. And YouTube is the avenue that somebody that has a skill in Hee Haw, Iowa, or wherever, and they got a webcam and they can put it on the internet, people from around the world can check them out. And I know from personally, I've had folks from all over the world view some of the videos that I put up there, and it's really amazing. I have one on GarageBand. It's amazing how people have seen that one, and because yes, ma'am, it's on YouTube. And
if they search for Herbert Midgley on YouTube, they come up with your videos.
Yeah, if you do youtube.com/Herbert Midgley, that will come up pretty easily. I have what I have 755 videos on YouTube, something like that. So I've got a lot of content up there as well, and I encourage you guys to use that as well as an avenue for your students. I know that we all have professional development that we need to go to, or something that students don't quite get in the amount of time that we have for whatever class. So if you have a webcam, you got a camera. I've shot a ton of videos. This was my little personal camera here because I have a movie mode on it. And it's not super high quality resolution. However, you throw it on YouTube anyways, and it's compressed anyways. This is good enough. This is good standard. This is standard diff enough that you can watch it on YouTube and not be bothered by it at all. And so like something like a flute technique or a recorder technique or how to sit or stand correctly to sing. These are all little videos that you could put up there, and because the students know you and they see you on there doing that, I think that's in a lot of ways it would reinforce it even more so because of that in a lot of ways. Well, but that's basically my spiel. I got a lot more I could potentially talk about, but like I really kind of like to open up to folks to kind of pick my brain, or I can pick your all's brain as well. Basically, I guess the paradigm today is how are we going to put technology in the classroom? And I remember this when I taught in public school, and even before that, they usually had some technology person that was there, and honestly, they got paid, I don't know, $60,000 to $80,000 a year to put paper into a printer and toner into a printer, and they didn't do anything else. And the problem is that if we have a computer in there, how do we use this? Back when I was in a math class in 8th grade, or 7th grade, they got this big Tandy computer, and the teacher said, I don't know how to use it, and one kid sort of knew a little bit of basic, and he was the only one that ever got anything out of it. And that was probably, I don't know, thousands of dollars that I really, looking back, reflect on, was a waste because she didn't know how to use it. We never got a chance to get any hands on it with it all. What's the point of having that computer in a classroom? So if you have a data projector and a computer and not using it, what's the point of spending money on it? Maybe we should buy chalkboards that are better at that point there. So that's really kind of the question is like, how can I use a website, a computer, MIDI, computer-assisted instruction for my students? And there's a lot of different ways of being able to do that. Okay. Well, let's throw it out to your class.
The thing that's tethering me here is the speaker system. The lead to get him over the speakers is really short. So if you have questions and you want to ask him directly, go on and come up here, or you can relay them to me and I'll relay them. Questions? Use of technology in the classroom. Okay. You may not have been able to hear that. I don't know.
Yeah, could you just say that? Say that.
Brett's asking about how can we use technology in the classroom if the school districts are restricting access to websites like YouTube.
Yeah, that's one of the big concerns even like in China, or right now in the news right now in Iraq, is that once you start restricting stuff, and I know there's sites that we don't want our children going to, without a doubt, we don't want that going on. I think what we need to do is educate the technology folks how we would use various things. There's something that's called TeacherTube, which you probably have seen or talked about. Sadly, there's just not as much content on it as it is for YouTube on there. Now, what you could do is that there are ways that you could download a video off of YouTube. And if you type in how to download a video off of YouTube, you can find it. Download a program called VLC, and it plays the flash media of that. So if there's some...
I showed them the keepvid.com. I don't know if you know about that one.
Yeah.
Keepvid.com.
There's probably 100 of them out there that I've used a couple of them on and so forth, because that way you can, again, we don't want them going to any sites. And one thing that is good about YouTube, anything that's not appropriate there is usually flagged and taken off relatively quick. However, foul language is going to be on there, and we all, it's going to be on there. And hopefully, if someone does a piano side or how to play the flute, they're not cussing while they're talking about that. But I think it is appropriate, especially in elementary, junior high, high school, that the teacher actually look at it and say, okay, is this actually a content that we could use in the classroom? I think there's actually an episode of was it Star Trek? I think that computers are really stupid. They only do exactly what you tell them to do. So you can always outthink a computer. You really always can. You may think you can't, but you can always outthink the computer.
Okay, other questions? Big program you've always wanted to know how to use, just about it. Here? Okay. So Daryl's asking about grants and funding, how to get technology into your classroom if you don't have it already.
Well, I can tell you the one way I know. I haven't read any grants. I haven't done things. I know there are folks out there, and you really need to specialize in grant writing. Find somebody that's really good at writing grants. Every university, I'm sure your university is the same way, they have some type of computer surplus. And what happened was, in 1980, when they started buying these computers for universities, they thought the computer would last 10, 12 years. And back then, they actually sort of did. Today, what's the turnaround? 3 years? 4 years? I mean, 2 years, hopefully. But there's a big turnaround. So there's a lot of computers. And what happened was, before President Bush became president, he signed a law saying basically the computers first go to the rest of the campus, then to the school districts, then to nonprofits, and then it goes to the prisons, and then eventually a landfill somewhere or another. So there's a computer surplus at every university, and if you are a public school, you can go get computers free from them. Again, they're not going to be brand new computers, but really for music technology, I can use Audacity on a Pentium 2 computer, and it works just fine. If you find a Pentium 3 or Pentium 4 computer, I mean, that's a decent computer. Sure, it's not a core dual or anything like that, but yeah, it's a Pentium 4, Pentium 3. I use those for years, and as we make a lot of movies and a lot of audio on that. So that's one free source that I know about is finding it. And there's a specific website, I can't remember right off the bat, but I have it somewhere, and I'll forward that to you, and so you can forward it to the class. And one other thing like this, if you do use the Facebook or the MySpace, if you needed that computer in a classroom, I bet you got friends that have a laptop that they're never going to use, or a computer they're never going to use, and so you can put that into your room. And I think if you don't network it, you probably won't have any problems with the technology folks, because I think they're really concerned about viruses or inappropriate content not being on the computer. If it's not online, I think that's good. I think that shouldn't be a problem at all.
About the use of Pro Tools.
I can't
help you with, but okay.
Pro Tools is a great program. It's one of the big audio recording programs out there. sadly, in 1999, 1998, Digital Design actually had a free version of called Pro Tools Lite, and you can probably still find it somewhere, but it only works on Windows 98. So this is a point with that old computer, and it works on Mac OS 9.9 or 8 or something like that. So sadly, that's gone. The thing about Pro Tools is that you're really paying for the software, but you're also paying for the hardware. So like when you buy the M box, it comes with like Pro Tools LE, the light version of Pro Tools. Unless you're trying to do some professional recording in your classroom, I just say use Audacity. Get you a USB microphone for $50, or the microphone that's built into your computer. And what I realized a long time ago is I stopped teaching programs. I teach concepts. Because I don't know if Pro Tools is going to be around. I don't know if GarageBand is going to be around. But quantizing is going to be around. And looping is going to be around. And step time recording is going to be around. So if you understand the concepts, and the reason why I say that, like right now Microsoft Word is probably the big word processor. But if you had WordPerfect or WordStar or any of the old ones, you could go in there and figure out pretty quickly, okay, this is how you type, and this is how you format, and this is how you do a paragraph, because you know the concepts of how to use a word processor. Same thing if you know Finale or Sibelius or Encore or any other music notation. Somewhere you got to put notes. Somewhere you can put dynamics. Somewhere you can format it. So I got to the point of realizing don't teach programs, teach concepts, and then those concepts can go over, and 10, 15, 20 years from now, when that program software may not be there anymore, you still understand how to do that. And programmers have been doing this forever. I mean, they use Fortran. I don't know anybody programs in Fortran 77 anymore. But that same concepts will go over to C or C++ or whatever, Ajax, whatever program language they're using now.
To answer your question, Kiana? Okay. Allison. Okay, so how have you seen programs used, like GarageBand, used in non-traditional classes?
I will say this. Back when I taught in public school, and that was in 99 was last year I taught in public school, when I bring a sequencer in, and some of the at-risk kids I had that didn't really want to be there, as soon as they started making beats, they were so happy, and I couldn't get them out of the class at that point there. When I teach the band camps here, same thing. Their eyes go on, and the beautiful thing about GarageBand is because it has loops. I cannot tell you before GarageBand how many whack beats I've heard in my life. I mean, stuff just like, what is this beat at all? And that's fine, because if you're not a percussionist and you never played drums before, I can understand you not knowing the concept. However, with GarageBand, with that loop-based one, you can hear, okay, I like that beat. Let me put it up here, and I'm going to loop it for 4 measures, 8 measures, and I'm going to find another B section and an A section. And one thing that I actually use GarageBand, and especially right now when I'm doing the band camps, is I talk about form. Because one thing that folks do on like Free Loops or GarageBand or Acid, they take one loop and they do it for the whole 10-minute song. And as you all know, listening to the same beat for 5 minutes is even if it's the greatest beat in the world, it's going to get old really quick. You got to have compare and contrast in there. And so even GarageBand, you can talk about concepts about how to write songs, and that's what I've been going over there. And add a shaker somewhere. Here, add a synth line here. Take something in and out, move the bass line around to something else. And it's really visual to be able to see it. It's really easy, really intuitive. And I'll be honest with you, that's the main program I use for making beats nowadays. I don't use Pro Tools very much because GarageBand is just so much faster for me. And I'm not worried about making a professional recording. I'm worried about the process. The content can come later on if they want to go out and later on, okay, I want to go learn about Pro Tools and learn that, but the process will still be there. And I remember there was one person that I talked to at one of the at-risk schools here. He didn't have much money, and he used Audacity. And these kids that would do nothing for him would do something because they could use Audacity, record it, make their own mix CD, and then they could sell it or give it to their friends. And I think that's one of the great things about music is that, remember those commercials that they have you draw the pirate and the parrot, and you get into art school? You probably still remember those. They still got them going on. Well, music, in a lot of ways, I think there's a lot of people that are musicians and composers, but before MIDI came out, before 1982, if you wanted to play drums, well, you needed to take lessons and have a drum kit and whatnot. Well, when drum machines came along, and that's one reason why the early hip hop blew up so quick at that point. You just have a drum machine. Okay, I like that beat. And play it in there like that, and then so you didn't require years and years of playing instruments. And I think GarageBand's the same way, that someone would like to play strings, or someone would like to play guitar or piano, because even with one finger, you can make a lot, you can loop overdub on it, and you can do a lot of really amazing things. So I think really the sequencer was the equalizing pattern for these artsy people that were creative in music, but they didn't have the formal training of that. And that's one thing I think is this made it. There's a lot more folks making beats now because the technology is there, and I can kind of equate that with filmmaking. When I first used iMovie back in '99, I mean, before that it would have been cost prohibitive for me to get film and try to cut film. I had no idea how to do that, but with computers, I know I could learn how to do that, and since that point there, I can make films. I can make a full-length feature now if I want to. Because I know how to use that software now, and because the digital cameras have gotten economical enough where you can do that as well. Hope I didn't water off too much.
Basically, bringing more students into the idea of creating music.
I think so, but pretty much all the kids in band camp here, they obviously like music, and most kids really do like music. There's very few people that I've run into that don't like music. They may not think they can sing, or they can play an instrument, but they all love music. And one way you know that is because of like when Napster came out in '99. What fascinated me most was not that people were bootlegging music, but they felt that it was a right for them to have access to any music that came out. And now you see folks walk around with these earbuds all the time. When I go run and work out, everybody has some type of MP3 player on. And why? Because they must love music that much to be able to do that. So I think that passion's there, and I think there's a percentage of folks out there, just like there's a lot of folks out there that are great artists that only use notebook paper and a pencil, and a number 2 pencil. If they had other tools, they probably could do some other stuff. But that's what they have, and they have that creative and outlet. And no matter if we're using technology or a pencil or paper or whatever, what's the drive for us to be creative? What's the drive for us to want to make music, want to create art? And all the computer is just a tool to be able to do it. All GarageBand is a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool for students, for musicians to want to make music. And if you're able to have students have access to that and able to show them how to use that. Most of the time when I teach band camp, I talk for 5 minutes and then I turn loose, because that's all I need to show them on GarageBand, and then I walk around and help them out at that point there. I've seen other folks do technology things where they sit there a whole hour saying, okay, this is how you do this is how you do this is how you do it. All right, come back tomorrow and we'll do it. And they come back, I don't know what's going on. And what I learned about years of teaching, sequencing, and so forth, just teach them enough to get started, and then you can build on, you can scaffold up from that point there.
Would you, Ken was wondering if you would advocate for a music technology class in the schools?
I would love that. I mean, what grade level? You think high school or junior high or elementary?
Like high school, something like high school.
High school. The thing that that, because you all are music teachers, and we all know what's important in public school, right? It's the tax test or TOS test, whatever it's called now. I mean, sadly we're teaching to a test, and it takes away. And I think about when I talk to folks, and you go back and study history, like the nobles, all the folks that are going to be kings and queens. What are the things that they studied? Well, they studied literature and languages, and almost all of them were amateur musicians. And there must have been a reason why they would spend time teaching these future leaders to do music. There must have been something there for them to invest that amount of time instead of learning something else. And I think that's another thing we need to kind of advocate. How do we let folks understand that? an education is much more than just a standardized test. And do we need to have the arts? And do we need visual arts? Do we need music arts? Do we need drama? Do we need... and if there's a need, I think we should be able to find that in a lot of ways. The good news is that, to my knowledge, pretty much every high school has a computer lab, right? And junior high has a computer lab, and even elementary school has a computer lab. So what I would do is talk to the coordinator of that lab, and Audacity is free. There's some free programs out there. And if you need to get headphones, you can get headphones for $2 sometimes. So you get 10 labs in there, and you find $20. Microphones you can find for $5 if you want to. So we're talking under a C note to be able to make a recording studio lab, probably in your school. Then I think after they see that the response of that, maybe they can get another lab or buy Pro Tools or buy some type of other software to go along with that, enhances. Usually, if administration sees that it's being used and it's an incentive for folks to focus and do well in their other studies, I think they will find time for that and find a way to make it happen. And if not, you can be a scrounger like I was in school. I did the same. I scrounged up the computers that I talked about from the surplus and put together a little computer lab myself.
To answer your question. Okay. Audacity question.
Okay, how to use Audacity?
I haven't shown it to them because I knew you were going to talk about it today.
Well, okay. Let me. I'm not quite sure you can see the. How well can they see me? Can they see me okay?
Well, I'm in the way. I hesitate to move myself in case I knock off. If I disconnect this, it's because I moved me out of the way here. A second.
Well, let me. Actually, I mean, I could take time doing this. I got a couple of videos on YouTube how to use Audacity,
Okay.
but basically, I don't know. Can y'all see that at all? Sort of, kind of. Okay, I'll kind of hold it here. Basically, there's a kind of explain it. There's a play button and there's the red record button and so forth. And as easy as this, I'm gonna hit the record button. Hello everybody, how y'all doing today? And you can see the waveform going there. Then I can hit stop on it. I can edit if I want to. I'll play it back. Hello everybody, how y'all doing today? Okay. And if I want to, I can just highlight part of it that I don't want. Can you see that section over there? Hit delete on the typewriter. Bam. It's gone. I can highlight stuff. And then under effects, I can fade out. You can sort of see that. And if I want to, I can duplicate it. I got panning over here. I can control the volume of them if I want to. And then when I'm done, I can save it as a waveform or MP3 and post it to the internet or make a CD for your students or what else to do. And also, this program has ability. I don't know if you guys are into avant-garde 20th century music or not. I kind of made a joke that I paid $20,000 to learn how to write music nobody wants to hear. I got this undergraduate degree in composition, learned how to write serial music and all this atonal music, and pretty much right after I got done, they pretty much the new group of composition teachers just stopped teaching that stuff. So I learned all how to. You know, I'm probably the Mozart of serial music, but no one's ever going to know because no one ever listens to serial music anymore much. But anyways, I used to be really a big fan of music called Creek, and I used to take a 4-track recorder and do that. Here, I can do that very easily. I'll just kind of show you the kind of the weird stuff that I kind of do. Okay, then I'm going to hit another. You guys all remember Music on Creek, right?
The sounds from nature and from the environment being put together into a piece of music to create the piece of music.
Okay, that's enough of that. And then what I can do is, what I used to have to do back then is actually splice tape in a lot of ways. Here, I can just copy and paste, and then just move this around here. I'm just, it's kind of hard to hold this at an angle and whatnot like that. Move stuff around. And literally what I've just done here in a couple of seconds, this would have took me like hours to do back in the old days with tape. And if I, let me get it from the beginning of it. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm into that avant-garde stuff, and Audacity was a great tool to be able to do that. So, I mean, I got some more videos, but that's the basic way that I use Audacity. And the cool thing, it's Mac, PC, and Linux. So whatever operating system you have, you can use that program on.
And you can use it for your recording your own ensembles, but the students could also record themselves, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you got an economical laptop. If you got a practice room, you can just put them in there, let them go in there. And the beautiful thing about this is that the tape doesn't lie. If you play the scale wrong and you listen back, you know, okay, I played that scale wrong. And I think that's one of the big things that that you can do is just have your students go in there for UIL and play their solos in there by themselves and say, okay, what sounded good? Okay, maybe I need to play softer. Maybe I need to play louder here. Maybe I'm not really following this dynamic here in the music. And the tape doesn't lie. And the beautiful thing about Audacity, if you want to, you can make an MP3 of it, send it home with them, and they can even listen to it over and over again. Or, not that I'm advocating that you guys play parts for students and have them listen to it, but you could do that as well. I know that choirs have done this before. They give the tenors their parts and give the sopranos their parts, and they can listen to that part, and then they come in and sing. They have all those together. And even something like this. You could basically, if you're going to be gone for professional development, you could record your voice, telling the class what they need to do, and then the substitute teacher could just play that back, and then they actually heard you saying what you need to do. So for recording, like for me, what I used to do when I say for music history, I'd make a cassette tape and I would read my music history notes in that as I drove to school. Well, today I would just record it on Audacity, make it an MP3, and listen on the MP3 player on the way to school. So, or as I run or whatever.
It does. It's one of those programs that has a lot more probably than you would. You can use it before you really are ready to use the advanced stuff, and then as you get better, you can add the advanced stuff. Because Herbert was talking about the fade out sections and
There's effects in there. I mean, honestly, I can record an album just using Audacity because what the whole big thing is the mic. If you have a good mic, if I have a $5,000 mic hooked up to Audacity or a $5,000 mic hooked up to Pro Tools, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. Now the editing side might be a little bit easier on Pro Tools, but the audio quality is not going to be that you're not going to be able to tell the difference because it's all digital. You're recording into it.
Pablo's asking if it's still free.
Yeah, it's free. Yeah, it's open source. That means it's going to be free forever. Sadly, if you type in Audacity into Google, it's going to be the first link. Use it so much. Like 10 years ago, Finale Notepad came out, and I talked to the guy. I said, "Will this always be free?" And he said, "Yes." And sadly,
I just noticed that
it went up to $10, which is not a lot of money. However, for school districts that have no money, and also the one thing though, if you are crafty, you can probably find it somewhere out there free. One of the older versions, like 2006 or 2004 or something like that. It's probably still out there.
But the beauty was the students could download it themselves at home.
Yeah.
And just download it and work on their own. I mean, your students could download Audacity on their home computers and record their practice.
Well, what I told them that they should at least make a version of one staff that they could use, and that's enough for them to learn how to use it and do the stuff that I need to do with them. They can make their own flute or trumpet or whatever line and so forth. Well, I think I got time for like one more question.
Okay. Carlos? Can you put the Audacity file on your iPod?
Yeah, because you can do WAV or MP3. I mean, yeah, so there's something called Vorbis, which no one uses much, but that's on there as well. a WAV file or MP3, you can do that. And another one, that was a quick one.
Okay. Do you use Finale or Sibelius?
I still use Encore,
Oh,
which nobody uses anymore. I know how to use Finale. It's just that I used Encore back when I was in school, and as a composition person, I just do that so much. So I'm one of the people that's keeping GVox alive, I guess. For me, it's just really intuitive and really fast. I will say this Finale has improved tremendously the last 5 years, and every year it's gotten better and better and better. What the problem with Finale was, it was too bloated for the slow computers back in 1991. Finally, computers have gotten fast enough that they can handle that. But Encore worked on a slow computer and it worked on a fast computer. So that's the reason why I used Encore at the time, was that it's so much faster. I would suggest this, if you have to learn one, learn Finale, because that's what most people learn. In Europe, apparently, it's Sibelius, is what mainly used. And if you want, there's even on YouTube, there's tons of videos on YouTube. And when you get to the Finale, there's video tutorials on there as well, so you can learn. It's not difficult to use. And if I had to go back, I would, if I would start now, I definitely would use Finale, because that's the one that everybody's using. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much. Sorry about the confusion.
No, no problem.
This is great.
And hopefully we have a chance to do this again sometime.
Yeah, that'll be terrific. If they save up enough questions, they're in class for the next couple of weeks. If they save up enough questions, I might call you again.
Yeah, I think this worked really well. And thank you all so much, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Have fun with the kids.
Bye.